This is TWiT.
Widgets, of course, are those things that appear if you look at my screen. Oh,
if you swipe right,
swipe there.
Not only will you meet the man of your dreams, you'll get some new widgets.
Yes.
What the heck is that widget?
No.
That's the Google dinosaur widget.
Shall I just go through mine and then you go through yours?
Yeah.
Or should we take turns?
No, let's do it.
Okay. So here's the screen time widget. I'm using iOS 12 on this iPad, so you won't have this if you're not using iOS 12. But it will tell me right away what I've been doing with my life. In terms of
what have you been doing with your life?
So far, I've been on this device for an hour and 16 minutes, 54 minutes of productivity, 41 seconds of entertainment, and 36 seconds of creativity.
What app is this?
Screen time.
Oh, it's Apple's app.
Mm-hmm. So it's
but it has the dinosaur in it?
No. Wait, that was just
that's
my
the
first
next
widget.
one. Oh,
yeah.
the top widget.
So then I can see. Yeah.
So that's nice. Now that we have screen time, it's nice to know.
Yeah.
So these widgets are interesting because all widgets are kind of, I don't know, how often do you swipe right, I guess is the question.
Okay, so I swipe right all the time. And I'll tell you, once I get down to the Siri app suggestions, because I have certain apps that I'm a little addicted to. They're not here, but mostly on my iPhone, like the Poshmark app that I used to sell clothes, which is strangely.
And you're addicted to that.
Well, it's just fun to see,
right.
And I can waste a lot of time on it, so I don't want to put it on my home screen.
Right.
Maybe you feel the same way about Twitter. So it's just one extra swipe. So you have to say, okay, I'm going to waste some time now on the Poshmark app or the Twitter app or whatever it is. So the Siri app suggestions are stuff that you use pretty often, but maybe you don't want one on your home screen.
Maybe you don't.
Yeah. But you were interested in Steve, weren't you?
Steve.
This is
Steve the dinosaur. Tap to play. Yeah. Now, that is from Google. That's what you get when, I think that's Google's can't find that page logo.
Yes,
right?
it is modeled after this, but this is not from Google. This is from Steve. So if you don't want Steve always showing up, you do. This is a good thing to know about your widgets. There's show more or show less. Sometimes you have to
not in
show
all
more.
widgets, but some widgets will let you do that. Yeah.
So let's say you're just going on and on about something, and
God only knows.
I get bored,
or
our live audience here gets bored, and you just want to play a little. It's just
tap to play.
So
there's Steve.
Yep. I'm gonna.
He has to jump over cactuses.
Oh, I already died. I'm not very good at that. Come on.
This is a category of thing I don't like in my widgets.
You don't. Those are widgets you have hated.
Widgets
well, just
I have
show
hated.
less. I have my email inboxes here, so I have my personal and my work email, and I can access that real quick and have those little badge notifications, which normally I don't like, but in my widgets I keep them on, so I know that I have 18 and 16 emails.
Yeah.
Siri app suggestions, which I talked about. These are just your most recent apps.
That's useful.
Yeah, super useful.
Because I'll tell you, I don't swipe right as much as I do pull down to get the search thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so the Siri app suggestions also show up there.
They're also there, yeah.
And I do that because I can never find the app because we're always installing new apps. So there's another place you can find those Siri app suggestions. Instead of swipe left or right, I mean swipe. And you can't do it from the top. You have to do it from the middle, halfway down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nuzzle. I'm a big fan of the Nuzzle.
Love the Nuzzle.
So again, the show more or show less.
That's Nuzzle is a news app. Jonathan Abrams, the guy who created Friendster, did it, and it pulls up news links from your friends on Twitter and Facebook, if you include it. And it's nice because instead of having to read Twitter or Facebook, I can just use Nuzzle and read the news.
Exactly. So these are.
Do you get? I don't think you get fake news in Nuzzle. Maybe you do.
Unless the people you follow are posting fake news. I mean, Nuzzle's isn't.
I guess you would. It doesn't do any
editorial. No, I mean,
I just follow quality people. Apparently. Apparently.
Yeah, so I can see the most, it does keep you in there's such thing as a Nuzzle bubble.
The Nuzzle bubble.
The Nuzzle bubble is something, but
it's no worse than the bubble you'd get if you read news on Twitter, though. I mean, it's the same stuff. Or Facebook.
It's the Twitter bubble.
I think it includes LinkedIn, too, now. Some people, LinkedIn has become, and this is odd to me because I always thought of LinkedIn as more like a resume site for building your network, but people actually use it to post content now. A lot of articles on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I've been posting some of our shows on LinkedIn.
And Lisa's been doing that. Yeah. So that's why Nuzzle would include LinkedIn as well. Yeah.
Well, when they were or are our sponsor, and LinkedIn, aren't
Yeah.
they? And what
They
I
were
learned,
or are.
they
Yeah.
were or are.
Were or are. Are or were.
They, you know, when I was doing some research, it's like that's where the decision makers are.
Yeah, that's
on
right.
LinkedIn.
You know, I thought a few years ago, gosh, one of the best things about owning TWiT is I'll never be looking for a job again. Knock on Formica. Expensive Formica table.
Yeah.
But then I thought, I'm missing out on the connections. And truthfully, it's selfish of me because a lot of the people who link to me want recommendations, endorsements on LinkedIn. So I should really participate on LinkedIn. So I do now.
Yeah, your sweet daughter gave me an endorsement on.
Perfect.
And I wondered, does she know something I don't know? Like,
I
should
endorsed
be
her,
updating?
so she just went out and endorsed everybody I know.
Okay, good to know. I mean, that wasn't like a subtle hint, like go start looking for another job or anything, was it?
No. I didn't. In fact, I didn't even tell her to do it. She just did it on her own, on recognizance.
I know. You don't weaponize Abby. Henry,
that would be a rude thing to do, come to think of it. Weaponize your children.
So Nuzzle is great. And PCalc, that was an app that we talked about.
You're going to have the creator of PCalc on the show filling in for me. That's
James
exciting.
Thompson.
Yeah. So PCalc is a calculator in your widgets.
So if I want, to know really quick what 5 plus 55 is, then
And James will fill you in on the story, but PCalc was pulled by the Apple store folks initially because he had that widget. They said, no, you can't put functional widgets in the widget bar. And fortunately, he convinced him. Oh, you see how much... So this is a good example of sure more, sure less being a really useful thing on PCalc.
Yeah.
Because maybe you don't want a giant calculator in your widgets. Maybe you just want a simple one. Or if you want all the functionality of PCalc, you could do it right there.
Nothing made me sadder than having to go to Staples yesterday and buy 2 scientific calculators.
Oh, Huck and Milo are there, aren't they? They're in that stage now. They're going down the chute.
And their teacher would not just. I was like, "But you have
They want
an iPad."
Was it TI 99? You have to buy.
No, that's a graphing calculator.
Yeah.
This is a scientific calculator.
Oh, you'll get the graphing one later, I guess.
I know. Which was I didn't.
I know. Isn't that rude? They got iPhones. They could do much better. They could have an HP 35 on their iPhone if they wanted.
And I was trying to show them. I was like, you swipe left and right and they were like, "Teacher won't let us."
And I think that's because of cheating, right? So the calculator, they know that there's only certain things you can do with the calculator. If you had an iPad, you could also, go to Wolfram Alpha and find the answer.
Right.
So
it felt good to buy something from Casio, though. They were I just felt like I pretended I was buying.
Nice.
Yeah, buying a watch in the 80s.
I bought not so long ago a Casio watch.
You did?
Yeah,
I think long ago, like 30 years ago.
No, this year. Because I saw somebody did some hacking of it and stuff, and I thought, oh, that'd be kind of interesting. Never got around to hacking it, but I think it was one of those. I think it had a stylus. It was one of those calculator watches, and I was just stunned to know that they still make them.
Yeah, I guess it's amazing what you find at Staples.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I actually have a hard time at Staples. I go in there and I come out with a big basket. I shouldn't go in there.
Really?
Oh, gosh, yes. I love office supplies. Don't you?
I do love office supplies.
Who doesn't love office supplies?
I know. I wanted to get a lot of things, but I didn't get anything but the calculator.
Lisa always says, Leo, you could steal your office supplies from work. I said, but I can't do that. That's stealing. And she says, it's stealing from yourself, you nitwit. We already bought them. Oh.
You should start putting sensors on.
Don't you do it, though?
I know. That's what I'm saying. You should put sensors on them to keep them in there.
I did.
Yeah.
You'll notice next time you go through the door with one of those pens, the alarm goes off and Mo pulls his taser.
I don't steal office supplies. I just steal iPads.
You know what? What? I was about to say you can have whatever you want, but now I'm thinking twice. It is going to be an expensive month next month.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the news.
Yes.
More widgets.
Okay. Chart of the moment from Quartz. I have the Quartz.
Oh, I don't know this.
You know Quartz.
Yeah, I love Quartz.
They just have a different chart. So if you just want, I'm feeling like I want some stats.
I'm going to install that. I want that.
I want to know the U.S. annual wage growth versus inflation. And, it's just a thing you can bring out at cocktail parties or what have you.
Exactly what I was thinking, a conversation starter.
It's pretty shocking. And you can also download the image. You can download the data if you want. You can embed your chart. They have some good charts. Learn
they
a thing
have
or
some
two.
excellent charts.
You could also tweet it if you just wanted to do that. So let's see. How do I get back to my widgets? Grateful. This is my gratitude app. And that's where I spend some time writing what I'm grateful. And they have a little quote in there. Acknowledging the good that you have already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. And I'm sure that's Eckhart Tolle. Although it just says Eckhart.
If the saying is more than 2 lines, will you only get the first half?
So, yeah.
That could be dispiriting.
It's nice
if you don't get the happy ending.
And then I have the other ones that probably most people have. Music. I like photos because it has these little...
This is the problem I have with widgets. Look how long your widgets are.
know.
Not only do you have to swipe right, you have to scroll up. Up and up and up and up.
So it has all these little photos. Like here's all the photos I took in San Francisco. And it can show me that Ian and Lisa picture.
Is that's Apple Photos? Nice.
Yes, it's Apple Photos.
When did that happen?
Oh, we don't tell you when we hang out without you.
And there's a picture of...
That's the coffee bot, I think. I think you were there.
This was that Pepcom event. Yeah. Well, there's Marco.
Very close up of my husband and I. So yeah, and I guess those are all my important widgets. And my battery widget, that's good.
My battery, gotta have the battery.
My Pocket Casts, News, Google Assistant, Sky Guide.
Do you ever? So I love this idea. You've got Google Assistant there. So Google Assistant is theoretically a swipe right away.
Yeah.
Do you ever use it?
No.
No. Yeah. I feel like to some degree the way Apple's implemented widgets buries them.
Yeah, it is true. So we didn't show how to add. So this at the very bottom here is edit, and then you can add or organize your widgets. So if I wanted to put my Google Assistant, maybe my Google Assistant. I'm going to put it up there.
Hey, my Google Assistant.
And then if I find that I don't really use the workflow, so I can just click there and then remove it. And then here are all the widgets available to me. And whenever you download a new app that has a widget, not all apps have widgets, it'll say new widget available. So yeah, there's all kinds of widgets here. I'm going to add the TikTok, which is the Musical.ly, because who knows, I might be a lip dub expert if it's in my widgets. So that's what I got. What do you got?
Well, I want to say a few things about widgets. Okay. First of all, widgets were added by Apple, I think somewhat in response to Android. But Android, I think, does widgets in a little more sensible way because they're on the desktop. So one of the things my real complaint about iOS is that this really hasn't changed since 2007. The one thing Apple changed is they added folders. For the longest time, iOS didn't even have folders. It was just a grid of icons, and you just had to swipe around until you found the icon you wanted. That's why, by the way, I often use this search capability to find something quickly. I just pointing this out that Apple could modify this to put widgets on the desktop. So in fact, this is my front page. I have 2 widgets. This is a date and weather widget. This is the Google Assistant. But as I scroll through, there's Google News. This is a whole page of widgets. TuneIn Radio, Pocket Casts, Audible. Pardon me?
They're 3 different sizes, so you don't have just show more or show less.
You can resize them if you wish in some cases. So yeah, I feel like it's possible to do something. For instance, this is my trip. Oops, this is my TripIt widget. We've got a trip coming up. I could, if I wanted, make it take up the whole screen. There's not enough room to do that. This is actually interesting. This is Google's podcast app, which will make individual podcast widgets, which is kind of handy. So not to make anybody jealous or anything, but I just think widgets could be perhaps a little bit more useful if Apple would, instead of hiding them where they do swipe right, put them, and you don't have to use them. If you want a grid of icons, you can have a grid of icons. But wouldn't it be nice if you could have the Google Assistant, and by the way, a widget can be a size of an icon. It could be actually like an icon. So the other thing I would point out is that my widgets vary depending on the device. So on my phone, obviously, my widgets are very different. I have the people I text and call a lot. And you'll note that there's 2 of Abby. I tap that to dial her, and I tap that to text her. So you can add to your favorites. You can show fewer of your favorites if you want. It should be show fewer, not show more, show less. But I guess it's show less of the widgets, so fewer of your favorites. If I had anything on my to-do list, I use Apple's Reminders app because it works on Mac and iOS. So if I had any to-dos for today. These are only the ones today, but they would show up there. And that's one of the reasons I put that right at top. My calendar is also right at top.
Fantastical has a good widget.
Isn't that a nice widget? That's Fantastical. So it tells you something that you really, I think is really useful. My next appointment is in 55 minutes. That's, I think, an interesting, and see how big that is. I think that's a very interesting way of showing that information. And of course, if you do show more, I can now have a month calendar, which is very handy, and my day's agenda, both in the widget. Now, right now, I'm using the Apple weather widget, which I think is pretty adequate. Show less, you see, it's just today's weather, but you can show the future. I, like you, celebrate my athleticism with the activity rings. By the way, Google is copying Apple. Did you see that they're going to add activity rings to the Google Fit app?
They are. I think it's only the Google. I looked that up. I think it's only the Android Wear app.
Only on Wear, yeah. So that's the Apple Watch rings,
right.
Though,
there is no Google Fit app for iOS.
Not for iOS. There is for Android. Sorry.
Yes, I used it I've used it for the months that I've used the Pixel when Jason and I do the switch.
It's very comparable. And Google. It's really interesting to watch Google and Apple in parallel, and I think this is how it works in the real world too. They watch what the other one does, and they steal from each other, borrow, copy. I don't know, whatever word you want to use. But it doesn't bother me. It might bother Apple, it might bother Google, but it doesn't bother me because as users, it means there's a nice cross-pollination. And that's one of the reasons I showed you the Android widgets, because I'd love to see Apple adopt, that's a good word, adopt the widgets on the desktop that Google does. Like you, I have batteries. On the phone, the battery widget is a little different than it is on the iPad. On the iPad, it's showing my pencil, which I've been charging. So I can remove it now. On the phone, it shows me my watch as well as the phone battery. So you get device battery, and you see my watch is fully charged. That's always good. DS Note is the Synology note-taking app. We talked about Evernote last week, and this is what I use instead because it's essentially Evernote, but on my own server. And the advantage of doing that is that I shouldn't show my secret recent documents. I notice it says secret. I don't know why it says secret.
My Dreams and Aspirations by Leo Laporte.
Yeah, it's secret. It's so funny. I don't know why. I don't even know what that is. That's tempting, though. Maybe that's a honeypot for bad guys. Maybe that's my canary token.
That's your hackety hack file.
Hackety hack. So DS Note is very, I can take a picture in a note. I can store a picture in a note. I can record a voice note, a text note, or a to-do list. And so you want to have a quick and fast way to get to that. You'll notice on my Android device, I also use DS Note, and I have it right on the front page. And this is an example of, it's a very similar widget, why I love widgets on the front page. I want to be able to, if I want to take a note, I want to be able to turn on the phone and take a note. So having it on the front page, I think, is a little bit more useful.
Yeah.
You see the Siri app suggestions. I used to use Swarm a lot to check in. I'll check into the TWiT East Side Studios right now. And yeah, screen time. Yeah. Now, there are some widgets I'm going to add. I'm going to add the Air France widget because I'm going to be going on a plane in about a week from tomorrow. And so I'll put that widget on my desktop, and I'll probably move it higher up so that I can see your flight's leaving soon, what gate is it at, update it, and all of that stuff. I'll have to add that reservation before I can do that. So that's a useful thing. In the iOS today, in the iPad, it is a little bit of a different organization. I don't have phone calls, for instance. I'm not going to make phone calls here. My calendar is first and my to-do list right away. I'm going to replace that weather in a little bit with my app cap. I don't want to give that away. Like you, I have Google Assistant. That's why I asked you. I never use it, even though it is theoretically a right swipe away. That's why I put it fairly high. Your position, we didn't show you, but it's pretty easy when you go into edit to move these around. Your positioning is really kind of variable here, and you may want to put the stuff that you want to get to right away in that first page, or as we say in the business, above the fold. Batteries, I don't mind if it's a little below the fold because that's something I'm going to physically check. I should probably take this out. This is the file. When Apple put out that Files app, I thought, oh, that'll be useful. These are the things I've worked on most recently. So the ability to jump to that, it's just like on the Macintosh, is nice. Like you, I have Nuzzle, but I'm not logged in, and Screen Time on here as well. So we actually have some very similar ones.
We do.
My one theory with widgets is put the ones you want to use right up top, because that's that's where you're more likely to get them. And of course, you always have Siri and a search here. That's always part of the widgets, no matter what you do. So, you know, you don't have to put Siri on top, but you could, if you want to have Google Assistant on top, put that in there. Are there wild and woolly widgets we could use? You showed me that one, Bruce, Steve, Fred. One trick, and I think you mentioned this, is every once in a while, because whenever you install an app that has widgets, you'll be able to see what those are. You know, baseball season, I should probably add at bat because the Giants aren't going to be in the game. Drafts, you know, I actually, with the release of Drafts 5, I don't keep drafts in here anymore. And even when I add it, it doesn't seem to get added. So I'm not sure what's going on with
I thought I had the drafts.
But
yeah, sometimes, like I had a Snapchat widget, and this might be because it was on iOS 12, but it was one where like I could Snapchat my daughter
and it didn't
anytime,
stay, huh?
and then and which is very strange because I have it in there. If you can see that it's right there, and I could move it all the way to the top and hit done, and then
if you and I had a commute, we might want to put there's some useful Google widgets. There's the travel time widget. We can see how far it's going to take to get to home or work. There's Google News, and then there's traffic. So if you have a commute, putting those in there is a quick way to see, well, what's it going to look like? Do I want to leave? You know, when I used to work in San Francisco, I would always check traffic before I left, because sometimes if the bridge is closed or traffic's really bad, it's actually faster to wait, have a few drinks, and then go home. No, I didn't do that.
I have a few
drinks of lemonade.
Yeah. You always like to say you're a drinker, but you're not.
I'm such a lightweight.
I have a few on my iPhone that I didn't show. Trending on Google.
That's a good one.
Interesting because it's really news popular right now. So there are lots of sad stories that you probably don't want to
That's why I don't read the news.
I know.
It's so sad.
MTV VMAs, Big Brother vetoes ceremony.
That's in your Google News?
That's popular right now, trending on Google. So it's not
Lord above.
But
Who
then
wants to see that?
Much more important is the today in Star Wars history.
Oh.
What
happened today in Star Wars? What happened today in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago?
This is not a great one, but hyperspace subscriber Amy Saminsky wins a trip to the episode 3 set through a writing contest. So not.
Oh man, that almost put me to sleep, and it was only a sentence.
I didn't read it. Oh, you gave me your Cortana device, and I've been working on putting Cortana.
You can have Cortana in there.
Yeah. So I can add a new event or talk to Cortana. I've also been testing a new Garmin, so they have a Connect app, and it tells me my last activities.
I think we're a little bit of a disadvantage because you and I are both using iOS 12, right?
Not on my phone.
Aha. So I am using it on both, and I think some of these widgets that I've tried to add, because there were quite a few more I wanted to add, have not gone in. And I'm guessing maybe that's an iOS 12 issue, and I don't know how widgets are going to change in iOS 12. Maybe they are a little bit. For instance, I use Cardio. That's a blood pressure monitor, and I want to have it remind me and measure my blood pressure every morning, and actually several times a day. So that's useful. If I liked to cook, I would have the recipe of the day. I love the New York Times cooking app, so that could give you a recipe.
What does your Tesla widget do?
Well, let's see if it shows up. I've been having trouble getting the widgets in there. Okay, so it does the same thing the Tesla app does, and I have to log in to do that. I do that on my phone. I don't do that. Actually, I should do it on my phone. But it tells me what my charge status is. If I want, I can actually use the Tesla widget to start my car and summon it. Should I do that?
Yes, summon it right here.
Yeah, it'll come here. It's a little buggy. You might not want to do that right now, but you can. Yeah, you can with the Tesla app. You can set I can turn on the air conditioning now, or turn on the heat now if it's a little cold or hot outside. I could lock the car. I could sound, if I see somebody out the window, I could sound the horn. So there are a lot of things you can do. So if you use that a lot, I don't, but if you did, having that in the widgets again would be a very handy way to get to it very quickly.
Well, I think we've said enough about widgets.